pile, something very interesting has been happening to my bullet chess recently. I think I've been enjoying it more. So I've been thinking, how do I speed up my bullet chess? So I observed recently, a few weeks ago, this GM, I was in a good position, and he kind of caught up on the clock against me and ended up winning. I thought, oh, his play's a bit like a steamroller or a steam train. And anyway, I had that idea, and I've actually started using these kind of metaphors. I've been experimenting with steam train and now motorbike. So just imagine the speed of a motorbike and how agile it is, or a steam train, how it sort of revs up and then it's unstoppable momentum. And I think it might actually be useful sometimes, as long as it feels fun. This is the key bit. If the metaphor doesn't feel fun, maybe it's not that relevant for your position. So if you have to play very tricky, precise moves, even in the bullet game, otherwise your king's blasted wide open, then it's not going to be fun to be like a kind of steam train or a kind of motorbike. It's not going to be fun. So that's a key consideration. But I've been trying to speed up my play, the rhythm, and I had a remarkable result yesterday against even a 3000 player, Kurd, who's a really great guy, really, really powerful player, winning tons and tons of bullet tournaments. So let's look at my rhythm in this game. First of all, if we look at move times, I think my rhythm's quite good. So I was trying to play like a motorbike, and so I'm taking, sometimes I'm taking like a longer, but as I say, if it doesn't feel fun, then I'm taking longer. But generally, I'm trying to speed up the rhythm. Let's have a look at this game from the start. So I kicked off with d4 because knight c3 is one of my pet lines as well, but I've been inspired by Botvinnik and Carlsen recently to play a bit more d4. So we have knight f6, c4, e6, and actually we get a fun Nimzo Indian, well, relatively fun, rather than say a Slav. So here I don't mind having the pawns doubled, got the bishop without a counterpart, which could be useful later. He tries to close up the position, so I don't really want to play d5 because the knight's going to have a fantastic time. So h6, h3, b6, I castle, bishop b7, bishop e3, queen e7, and queen c2. This isn't particularly accurate moves, I would say. Rook c8, I take on e5. So I'm thinking, well, this is a kind of Botvinnik decision, isolated double pawns. Well, in general. So, and sometimes you get more control over d5, and that actually happened later. So that actually kind of Botvinnik style move actually was okay. It's helped by a mistake on the opponent's part, though. So knight h4, rook going to d8, knight f5, queen f8, queen e2, and now bishop takes e4. Which does actually give me this tactical opportunity for bishop takes h6, trying to dismantle the king. I'm looking at e4 now. So we have g takes, and I am in a great position here. So I've hardly spent much time. He's got 33 seconds left, and I've got 42. So I'm ahead on the clock. It's good to have some, be ahead on the clock in a bullet game. But also the king's being compromised. So I would say, some precise moves were missing, and if the king's compromised, it's really bad to recover. Even in a bullet game, it doesn't matter how quickly you play. If the king's, going to be checkmated, you have to play precisely. So rook d5, f6. I'm dominating the d file, and it looks pretty crushing to me now, having the rook on the 7th. We have knight d8, so knight e7, that's not the most accurate move apparently. Anyway, there's a false debate here, but I play with knight e7 because I think knight g6 is really dangerous. And he's down to 16 seconds here. I've got 31 seconds. So knight g6 check, knight e7 check, queen d5. It's difficult for black to wriggle out of this. Knight f5, very difficult. And here I'm just winning material with rook e7. I did spot that, rook e7, winning material. So rook takes, we have rook d8. My queen's protected by the pawn as well. So it looks like, Botvinnik dream plan come true with this weird d-takes, allowing isolated double pawns. Doesn't matter. So zero significance. I'm just absolutely winning the position. It's not about double pawns sometimes. So, and the game concludes, so it doesn't matter about the e-pawn. I eliminate that. That's not a dangerous passed pawn. And you can see it's like down to like 0 and, 0.3. I've still got 13 seconds left. So here, he's clinging, or he hasn't clinged on. King g2, and that's the end of it. Black's timed out. So the rhythm, I thought, was really amazing. Sometimes I can really pull off a very fast rhythm with these metaphors. So you might think, why don't I just say fast? You see, I was saying fast before, and my usual sort of game of trying to find what the issues of the opponent's position. But it just wasn't working. I wasn't really getting as fast rhythm as actually having a metaphor. And I'm thinking this is like prompt engineering, neural networks, or chatbots. When you sort of give them a role play before you ask the question, sometimes the question is better. I'm thinking it's a bit like that I'm kind of getting into this mindset which restricts what I need to think about. Just think about becoming a fast motorbike or a steam train. And this is why I think I might be going insane. But no, I do like the metaphor. I've always liked metaphors. I think Nimzovich was a great writer. He was like one of the first metaphor-driven instruction manuals, My System, when he said things like, the passed pawn is a criminal to be kept under lock and key. Active surveillance is not enough. With that kind of metaphor, it's very powerful. When in our games there's a passed pawn, yeah, you're thinking about like that metaphor. Well, if you're a Nimzo fan, you'd be thinking about that metaphor. I think Nimzovich was the first like metaphor-based instructive book, and maybe it depends on players' brains if they appreciate Nimzovich or not. I think that's the key difference. Are they loving metaphors or not, or do they think they're like overly like cinematic or something, or too much story? But I think the stories, the metaphors, they have some properties we're trying to transfer, and it's useful. So I'm currently working on this Magnus Carlsen course, and I've got all sorts of these kind of metaphors going on for different styles of play of Magnus. So sometimes he's like the boa constrictor. You could say that's a metaphor. For Karpov, for Adams, for the positional players, they like constrict you. That's a metaphor as well. Or sometimes, other metaphors, the attacking firestorm, that's a metaphor. So the metaphors, they limit what we need to think about. So this was a super fast game. And if we go into, so I had a loss against him after, so he was out for revenge. And this is like limitations. If I'm not playing accurately, if I'm playing too quickly, I'm going to get smashed. So here, I do have some weaknesses. I am worried about the position already. And I do get absolutely crushed here in this game. So there are limits to it. When you're playing against someone who's like 3,000, the general result is to lose. I mean, my general result is to lose. I mean, the scoreboard is still hugely in his favour, 158 to 12. So I managed to get 1/4 of my results just last night in this tournament, and actually the next tournament I beat him as well. So 158 to 12. So overall, he's absolutely hammering me. And this is a game, I already feel I've lost here after G5. So the lack of accuracy, the huge number of weaknesses, it's irreparable, the position. It's utterly irreparable. Well, it seems that way. The knight sacrifice just exposes my king, and I'm just getting absolutely hammered here as usual. So this is the usual story of getting absolutely hammered. Wonderful stuff. So I managed to claw back in the third game, though. We had another encounter. I mean, this is usually bad luck to play him once, let alone more than once. So kind of playing him 3 times. This third encounter in this tournament, if we look at this, let's look at the accuracy level as well. If we scroll up, you see the accuracy level. It's not a big deal accuracy, 59% to 54. It's not a big deal accuracy. So we have a different opening. So he's testing a different opening. And okay, I've got the isolated queen's pawn. So bishop g5. So how do we play with these isolated queens? Well, knight a4, that can sometimes be a useful move. Knight e5, queen e2, and here bishop takes e7. And actually I thought, yeah, I am in a spot of bother, but I'm keeping up on the clock so far. The clock time's 44 to 43. I'm keeping pace on the clock, which is a very important thing. It's like if you're down on the clock, it's like being down a knight or a rook, if you're down on the clock. So I'm keeping the pace a little bit. He's actually 36 to 37. It's the rhythm, yeah. So he is actually better here, and it looks as though my knights. But now I thought, hang on, I'm getting something here, aren't I? So I did find an attacking maneuver coming up, because otherwise I'm just going to lose to the 2-to-1 pawn majority. So actually there is, I thought king h2 is a bit Carlsen-esque, trying to get the king completely safe before indulging in attack. And at the moment, yeah, f7 was a distant dream, but f7 comes back as a dream now. Rook e3, so rook f3, and he's getting the pass pawn on the queen side. I have to hammer his king. So things have gone wrong for him here, in fact, already with a4. So f5 was best apparently. Okay, so the knight is a liability because e takes. I guess he's going to take the knight. I've put a low engine depth not to affect the recording, but anyway. No, f5 is not going to take the knight, but anyway, f5 was better. So here, yeah, I'm just chipping his king. This is where 10 seconds each. But this is a situation where it shouldn't be fun to be playing quickly when precise moves are needed. Otherwise, you just get obliterated. There's no coming back from this. Knight takes h6. Yeah, the king's really unsafe, but I still managed to fluff it, actually. Even though it does say a forced mate, I'm managing to fluff it here. So actually, rook f4, there is actually a forced mate. I think, when I looked at this before, I think it was rook f6, and then knight f7. So this is like forcing mate. So rook f6, there's not too many candidate moves for black there. So anyway, I play rook f4, and knight f7 now is just not working. I was excited by queen g6. It's not working because queen takes f7 is possible. And black is winning. So this was a bit of luck actually here. But look at the clock situation. Put it in the context of the clock. 5 seconds to 4 seconds. So the key thing is I've kept pace. I've created a dangerous position. And it's easy to blunder under extreme time pressure. This is like extreme time pressure. And there's a chance of winning on time. 5 seconds to like 0 anyway. So I'm going to win on time whatever happens there, it seems. This is bullet chess. So I guess you could say bullet chess is a metaphor in its own right, as fast as a bullet. But no, I think so. Steam Chain or Motorbike, they seem to be working for me at the moment. And yeah, there's another tournament. So I've played him 2 out of 3 there, and the next tournament. So I managed to actually win this tournament, and in the very next tournament, I do take him down, but don't win the tournament. So this is just an incredible run that I've never had against such a high rated player. I thought I should mention it. So here we have, okay, I've got him sometime, not often, I've got him 1 or 2 times with e5, and he's just, that's a great anti-London system, by the way, in bullet. You just play e5, and you can treat it as a reverse Black Mardima gambit sometimes. If they play later, e takes, you've got kind of reverse Black Mardima, which shouldn't be at all good, but we're talking about bullet chess. And a lot of London system players just accidentally, they pre-move e3 here and just lose the bishop. That happens a great deal, more than you can imagine. So anyway, I'm careful not to, thankfully I didn't play e5. So that would be a limitation of the metaphor if I was trying to play AP. No, it's only if it feels fun. In the opening, okay, f6, there's a bit of a sense of danger would indicate if it feels fun or not. So at least, okay, I've got a decent opening position. And in fact, here, I'm starting to actually get this idea that this diagonal could be dangerous in conjunction with d3. So I castle queenside here, and it's a very interesting position now with this dark square bishop without a counterpart. Very interesting. So here, yeah, it looks as though what's happened, I think I've kind of maybe annoyed my opponent from the previous 2 games. So check what has happened here. If I get a chance, I'm going to play bishop takes g1. Yeah, this is very unusual, this event. Bishop g4, and now I've still got this bishop takes g1 threat. And here bishop takes g1 now. Yeah, it's things have gone really pear-shaped. And here check, queen takes d5, check, b5, bishop b6, queen c4, queen a4. This is just very weird. I'm giving you here in this video a kind of revelation about bullet chess that actually maybe it's not enough just to try and think quickly. It's not helpful advice. I think that's what Nimzovich had actually got in my system, that metaphors are very helpful advice. It's like this advice, play the possession. I think that's completely useless advice. Or play solidly is completely useless advice. There are all of these completely useless advice, sometimes given. Whilst stories, metaphors, at least they have something you can see the properties of, and they kind of restrict what you need to think about. Just act out that metaphor. So it's like a kind of human prompt engineering. So I've had a few days of fun recently, with this idea, and it's kind of made my bullet chess even more entertaining, because it's quite hard just to say play fast. So maybe you want to try this idea, the metaphor-based approach. I think, chatting with GPT about it recently, 5.1, it seems to say that, there's a legitimate idea here. There's actually a legitimate idea. And, it's apparently in cognitive science, reducing like the search space, the amount of search you need to do for examples, etc. You're looking for particular patterns when you talk about a metaphor. So I think it's an incredibly powerful idea. But as I say, the big qualifier for it is you've got to have a bit of a sense of danger. If there are positions where you play a bad move and you know that your king's going to be like blown apart, it might be worth taking up to 4 seconds or maybe more, even in the bullet game there. You've got to have this idea, look, does it feel fun? If it doesn't feel fun, it's probably not aligned to the position. There are certain positions you can just play several moves ahead, queening a pawn, you just like queen a pawn, you don't have to think about it. There are other positions you don't want your king exposed, or there are other positions, there might be a put away checkmate sequence which might be worth the extra seconds finding. So there's this incredible balance in bullet chess between the need for speed and the need for accuracy, this trade-off all the time. I think actually that's another aspect here. If something feels fun to use, then maybe it is actually aligned to what you need. So the metaphors, they can have drawbacks. They might be inappropriate. The steam train, for example, might take too long to get started. I think you want to get the most attractive properties. And I haven't ever ridden a motorbike. I haven't ever been on the steam train. I've just seen them in films or whatever, or in real life. Okay, but it's the attractive properties. So you might even call it like a magic motorbike. It doesn't have to be a real motorbike. So you want the attractive properties to be quickly made use of. So it's a very interesting idea. I thought I'd share it with you. I've just been amazed. I think my bullet chess speed in some games recently has been phenomenal. So this is a very interesting thing to explore. And maybe it's not just about bullet chess, it's just metaphors in general. It's like telling a good story or a good, role play actually gets one kind of more focused sometimes on what one needs to do. So I hope I've explained it reasonably okay. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. And do check out my courses page. As I say, I've got this course coming out where I'm going to use metaphors as well as examples, standard examples, because I think they are very helpful for learning stuff. Okay, thanks so much.